Hey hikers, it's Dr. Rick. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder of Herbal 411 and I'm a hiking guide for national parks. And there's no credentialing for a hiking guide. I mean, I just run excursions every year since 2014, and I've been lucky enough to hit some really cool bucket list places, and I wanted to invite you to join the training group. So I have a plan for Mount Whitney this summer, the end of summer. I was supposed to go to Everest Base Camp, and the airport is destroyed or being rebuilt. I don't know the whole story, but there's no way I'm taking a helicopter instead of a plane. So I canceled my reservations. A good thing, because I am not built for that kind of altitude yet. However, I am going to be built for 14,000 feet. I mean, I've done it before, and getting to the top sucks, but I'm going to constantly evolve my training routine from my group. This year, it's Mount Whitney. Mount Whitney is the highest point on the contiguous US, and it's 14,505 feet. And you don't have to go all the way to the top, but I wanted to announce a couple things. And number one is the training is going to start this Sunday. I'm going to meet up with a group at Paul Wolf Campgrounds in Elgin. Right now I'm in Bodie. I'm off of Bodie. This is in Hoffman Estates, and just so I can get out. I mean, even if it's raining, you still have to train or condition, but I'm going to be meeting my group at 7:30, I believe, in the parking lot over at Paul Wolf. So if you want to come over, please let us know so we can wait in case you're late. But this is how I'm going to run it. It's going to be a forced march. The last group that I took to the James Pate State Park, we started off, it was in snow, so we started off slow, but we picked it up towards the second hour. And if we are training for altitude, you can't exactly match up the same altitude in Chicago that you'll hit in California or on a 14er. So you got to do the best you can, and I have tried to manipulate doing cardio, doing running, stair stepping, HIIT training, and truthfully also not even training, but to make this a fun summit, I think it's important to mix up the training plan in Illinois. So if you happen to be in Colorado and you're all exposed to 14ers, that is fantastic. But in Illinois, at least we have to be able to handle our backpacks. So the forced marches of the military, whether it's Canadian, British, or American, forced marches go at sometimes a speed of 4.5 to 5 miles an hour with weight. And their backpacks are rucks. I think they load them, some of them, to 50 pounds, which is terrible. But for our purposes, I think it's important to have some form of resistance, especially those of you who are in shape. And for those of you who are just starting this journey, and that would be my either Foxtrot group, that's what I designate you guys as, or my Bravo group, a little bit of training, and you've been to an excursion with me before, and you might or might not get to summit. And then there's the Alpha group that I will push hard to get to summit. So regardless of the three levels and where you enter or fall in, it's important to set a destination, which we got. You see, the last week of July or the first week of August. It's also important to ramp up your training. And if by the time July hits, you're not in shape, it's okay, you don't have to go, but most of us will be buying tickets now. So if you're going to commit, it'll be fun. And there's no pressure. It's just to have a sense of camaraderie and get out there and be inspired to do something different, because all my middle-aged patients usually have high blood pressure, a little bit of weight issues, interrupted sleep. In other words, not optimized. And I think if we want to make it to a ripe old age without many prescription medicines, it's important to dial in that lifestyle change. And if you, doesn't matter what you do, cardio, resistance training, yoga, Pilates, Zumba, whatever you do, any form of training will help your metabolism. Your cells will become sensitive to insulin, and then you'll also control appetite and sleep deeper. But you can't just straight out of the gates go from couch to joining my group. You got to slowly build up, and that's why I want to help everybody with a goal, or at least a vision of conditioning, so that we ramp it up slowly, build it up fast. I'm on concrete now, so we're gonna go faster. And then you don't get hurt or give time to recuperate. So that's part of the plan with my group. Is if you come with us and you stay connected with me, I'm a physician, I can help you with the ideas of what to do with ramping up, how to control your medical disease so it doesn't interfere with your ramp up, because a lot of my patients will be on, for example, beta blockers for their high blood pressure. Beta blockers will not allow you to increase your heart rate, and it'll lock it down low. And for cross-country skiers and biathlonists, if there's such a word, that's great because you lower the pulse rate. But for my average person that's training, you need your pulse rate, your heart rate, maybe a sleep monitor to watch and plot your condition training and your response to training. So it's nice to have metrics or wearable devices, or you can just do the old check your carotids, check your radial pulse on your wrist, and go with it that way. Worst case scenario, if you don't even know how to do that, you can do perceived exertion. And if you're short of breath, you back off a little bit. But it would be nice to stay in a group. So don't let yourself get too confused with all these things. This is just an invite and the beginning. So the other thing that's also important is to recuperate. And afterward, I really try to have my sore folks, especially with the late onset muscle soreness, maybe get a massage, get some hands-on healing, increase CBD amount to take care of inflammation. Maybe turmeric increases too temporarily. Just have to watch your poop. Topicals, magnesium. There's a lot of things you can do in addition to getting that sleep that is important for recovery of muscle. So again, that's the benefit of being one of my patients or warriors or hikers, is I can give you some advice. And finally, well, not finally, but the next level of training would be, how do you mimic altitude? Like I mentioned, we can try to get very fit. And even if you don't touch altitude or use one of those altitude tents that you can rent to get yourself used to low oxygen, even if you can't rent that, I think if you stay as best as you can fit with power, speed, endurance, and core work, I think that we'll do okay. So I have taken some folks up to 13,000 feet that did not train at all. We were fine, but we were slow. So here, where I'm having 3 groups get to California, I want to at least not bog down my alpha group with anybody that's just going leisurely, and leisurely is fine too. And I don't want to stress out my Foxtrot group or my Bravo group with having to maintain speed and using backpacks for weight or a weight vest, because there's different levels of training. But I think that ultimately this community that we're starting up is really cool, because even in Chicago, I mean, it's February, and with February it's raining, and that usually means the grass and the trees are going to be blooming soon, unless there's another frostbite weather pattern coming in. You can't just stay indoors and exercise or practice during good weather, because it's a little bit hard to find those days. It's tough to predict. What I can predict, though, is if you have staggered training or training as needed, it'll be a slow improvement or a slow increase in tolerance. Whether you're a believer of lactic acid and the threshold that lactic acid causes when it backs up, or myosin filament weakness, or just insulin resistance, or not fat adapted, quote unquote fat adapted, it doesn't matter. But bottom line is, if you induce some form of training, you'll improve that likelihood of controlling that medical problem. So, sorry, I have to forge this little stream here. And I'll go over there, it's shallow. I do have waterproof boots on. However, I have to go to the office and I don't want to drag in a lot of water. So I'll cross as best as I can read at the most shallow spots. What the hell is like the Narrows in Zion? So that was the most recent excursion I led, and that was cool. So these things are bucket list activities that a lot of you will probably have on your bucket list. And if you wait until retirement age and you balloon up or you get super weak, it'll be much harder to start at that point in time. Or you won't be able to start. You won't be able to go. You'll be able to watch us. So no matter what your age group, please consider coming out, becoming a hiker, or becoming a warrior. That means a patient. If you are at a distance, it's okay. Maybe we can do a virtual training session. I might do that actually. Maybe I'll get on Zoom and you can see my perceived exertion with my group, my alpha group. But I'll put the link to my website down below. I'm on herbal411.com. I'm also on Facebook with regards to Dr. Rick hiking excursions. So this is meant to be a fun thing, but I think that we can have fun, but we can also have oh man, yikes. We can also have an improvement in overall health and decreasing morbidity and maybe even reversing disease. So thanks for watching. Please, if you're gonna come, message me or put your comments down below. And if you're not a subscriber, please think about subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you did like this, or you know somebody that does like to get outside and they're lonely with regards to exercising or hiking, send them the video. We're taking on anybody. So thanks for watching. Get outside or get exercising.